So these are ways that we can incorporate math vocabulary into play routines within the classroom. But remember, we talked about earlier how we want to make sure that we're engaging families and caregivers outside of the classroom and the things that they can do at home. Because when we first started this, we talked about how we had already used math today, and many of us had talked about things that we had used math before we even got into our classrooms. So here's just a couple things that we can do when we think about encouraging families to have these at-home math moments, right? So just from the pictures on the screen, you see the first one, let's say that they're grocery shopping. So there's many ways that grocery shopping can be a math activity for preschoolers. One of those ways is that you're comparing sizes and quantities, counting the items within the grocery store, looking at those apples. Can you find here's this apple, Darcy? Can you find one that's bigger than this one? This one's red. Can we find another color apple? Even looking at the packaging of different things, the shapes and numbers that may be on the packaging, and then, of course, when it comes time to pay for our groceries, there's a lot of math that is used within that. And I know some of you do cooking experiences within the classroom. So teaching those concepts that are counting and measuring and um, counting those ingredients, measuring out the cups of what liquid or the solid that may be used, right? Splitting the recipe so that we have equal portions. So those are some ways that we can use cooking as well. And then we have playing musical instruments. Who knew that playing a musical instrument could be a math moment? But it is. It's developing that pattern recognition, that one-to-one correspondence, um, that steady beat and musical sequences, right? And then playing games, board games in particular, board games like Shoots and Ladders, which involve one-to-one correspondence, counting how, you roll the dice and then you have to count 2 squares or 2 whatever, is on the board game, right? So board games are a huge way to incorporate math. And then, one of our favorite activities, laundry, sorting the socks. I wish I had somebody who could find the missing socks that tend to disappear at my house. That would be a whole scavenger hunt and math activity here at my house. Um, but matching the socks, sorting the laundry by color, by type, by size, by texture.
And the
That
patterns on the clothes.
Mhm.
And I had shared this with you, Tina. My youngest son, who is now a full-grown adult, learned his so much of his early math concepts and even adding and subtracting and colors doing laundry. He was the youngest. His 2 older brothers were at school, and, we would say, "Give me Dakota's pants. They're smaller than Ben. Can you find the socks that have the same pattern?" There's so many different concepts that can be taught in laundry, and it doesn't have to be a "let's sit down and teach you math" lesson.
Taking a walk, and taking a walk, you're counting the steps that you're taking. You're tracking the distance that you go and the amount of time that it may have taken you to walk from your house down to the park. Once you get to the park, you're counting the number of swings that you might see. How many of our neighbors are in the park today? Is that less than was here yesterday or more than was here yesterday? So getting outside in nature, you can find so many things, matching the leaves, finding leaves that are the same color, the same size, are wonderful things to do when you're outside taking a walk, enjoying nature. And then lastly, this is I Spy. So again, outside or inside, various shapes. Talking about the positions, I see something round that is inside the car. I see something square that is behind the tree. I see something next to you that is smaller than our dog. So just having those engaging in those conversations. When my daughter was younger, we would go on scavenger hunts and I would write out a list. Let's find something oval. Let's find some. And so putting those math concepts into the scavenger hunt was a fun way. And she didn't even know that she was doing math.
And, we think about this is at home math moments, right? But these are also at school math moments,
Sure.
caring care math moments. But a big piece of this is empowering parents and families to see how much they're already doing math, just like you as educators seeing how much you're already doing math.